So at the beginning of the project, I was selected to work with parametrics in Maya. So I started looking at Maya, learning the basics, sort of using NURB planes, adding vertices, manipulating the planes into 3 dimensions. And then the following week I carried on doing the same sorts of things. So here you can see I've added more sort of shape to the planes and sort of started working with 3D shapes, but they didn't quite come out as I wanted. So the following week I started sort of working with sort of circular shapes, and again dividing planes and pulling vertices, and also started working with hand-drawn polygons as well, creating curved shapes from a more natural basis. In week 4 I did some research on fractals in architecture, which really helped to sort of inform sort of some of my understanding about how fractals are used and how we could perhaps use them moving forward. I also started working with a parametrics book, and so this is these were exercises in the book, sort of again getting to grips with the tools of it. And then in week 5 I came back to working with planes and sort of opening up spaces, which gave a much more natural sort of feel than what I was doing before. And then in week 6 I kind of moved away from Maya and started looking at sort of more research-based stuff with the project. And I did an infographic, 2 infographics, one based on age of buildings in the local area and another based on materials. I then went on to make some paper folding using the maps, which kind of came out all right, but I don't really feel that they gave me a shape that really I could work with moving forward on the facade. So the following week I started combining the paper folds, sort of one consecutively from each map, to try and create a more different shape, because I was kind of inspired by what Anna did the week before, which was sort of trying to create a closed loop, sort of make something that was more tangible as such. But I still don't feel that much came out of it. So I started looking at rainfall data as well and seeing how I could include that. Then me and Sevda started working together, and we sort of started combining rainfall with the pedestrian use of the stations, and that's when we came up with these sorts of ideas of having a zigzag pattern sort of based on graphs. And sort of in some months the graph was higher for one than it was for the other, so we sort of pushed through the graph, and that sort of created, we were looking at it and we thought, well, that could maybe work for windows in the facade, and that's when we kind of came up with this idea, and also said to have the idea of using portholes, which we quite liked as well. So we decided to take that moving forward, and then in week 9 we started working more collectively as a group, and we sort of brought in the idea of green roofs as well, which is where this design came from. And we thought about putting the green roof on the inside of the porthole, so when people are looking out, they kind of see the natural before they see the urban. And it was my role was to do the Photoshop conceptual ideas, but as you see here, the model didn't quite go on to the photograph too well. So the following week I decided to go back into 3D CAD, and that's when I sort of did a section view of what the facade would look like, and I created the sort of 3D version, which I then sort of tessellated and placed onto the facade here. I mean, had I had more time, I might well have been able to get the shape a bit better, but I hope it gives some sort of representation of perhaps what it would look like moving forward. That's it.